Alrighty, Super Singer 2.0 asks, how did M3GAN get a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes? Likewise, Disney Nerd, how did M3GAN get 94% on Rotten Tomatoes? Along those same lines, Mr. Hicks says 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, 3.3 average score rating on Letterboxd for M3GAN. What do you make of all of that? Well, 94% for any horror film is pretty wild. 94% for a horror film that's just for fun, no kind of social commentary, no elevated horror, just like killer robot horror film released in January, 94% is an insane number.
It's insane, right?
When it was up to 50 reviews counted, I think it only had like one negative, so it got up to like 98%, 97% for like a day. And then a couple more people put in some negative reviews in there, including a guy named Drum Dum, a guy that I know over on YouTube. He's one of the few negatives on there. He's even a horror channel, so the fact that he went negative was kind of fun and interesting. How does it get a 94%? Well, you have to stop and think what Rotten Tomatoes is actually doing. Rotten Tomatoes does not give movies scores. Rotten Tomatoes is an aggregate. There's hundreds of critics that are Rotten Tomatoes certified, and I'm one of them. Cody Leach is one. Drum Dums, who I just mentioned, is one of them. Variety, Hollywood Reporter, like major outlets, newspapers, YouTubers, bloggers, my friend Rachel Wagner. It's pulling from all of these different places, but the way the score is calculated is it's binary. Is it fresh or is it rotten? You pick. Do I recommend it? And that's what that number says. What percentage of critics recommend this film? That's what the number means. It does not say how good it is, how much they recommend it. It doesn't have any nuance to it in its recommendation. It's just yes or no. So if you barely recommend it versus favorite movie of the year, both of them are this. If you are just barely not recommending it or worst of the year, they equally count as a rotten rating. So how does a movie like M3GAN end up with a 94%? And it's because it's a movie that is familiar enough but fresh enough that it's interesting. It is entertaining. It does what it's trying to do well, and it doesn't make any major mistakes. Like, it certainly draws comparisons to Child's Play 2019 and Child's Play in general with the killer doll, but it doesn't feel like it's just ripping that off. It has enough new things in it. There's kind of this whole corporation side that feels kind of like Rise of the Planet of the Apes, but it's not like Rise of the Planet of the Apes, so it just feels fresh and different enough. And it's entertaining. It's doing what it's trying to do. There's just enough tension and scares in it. There's enough interesting ideas, and it's executed well. Once again, there's not a lot in it that would alienate people. It's not extreme to where a percentage of critics were like, that was too far. It's horror. Like, there's enough there that horror fans will like it, but it's not so much that it will alienate non-horror fans. So it's more broadly accessible. Kind of also, why did it perform so well? Because it's pretty broadly accessible. And I think that's how on earth to get it 94%. Well, it's just different enough, just fun enough that most people will probably like it. And it doesn't do anything to like trip itself up. It doesn't get too ambitious and stumble over its feet. It doesn't have like a plot twist that's polarizing. It just delivers what the trailer promised in a fun version of it. And the big criticism would be, is it too familiar? Most people don't seem to think so. Like, it's familiar, but it does bring new things to the table. And has a memorable new killer doll in it that M3GAN isn't really like Chucky. Both are killer dolls, but their personalities, what they're trying to do, are quite different. And so, they get 94% because it's only this. So you have a bunch of people that are like this with the movie. Like, yeah, it's fun. There's not a lot of people that are like, best movie of the year. No. There's just a lot of this. A lot of people right in here, but not a lot of people doing this. There's not much that would make you go, oh, negative. Even the negative reviews, they're not actually negative. They're all this, just slightly below recommendation. The first guy, the guy that was the first negative, it was a 2.5 out of 4, which in my mind, if I would 2.5 out of 4, I would call that a positive. I mean, it's mixed positive. It's this. He said it was this, just barely underneath. That's not a bad score. And that's how this movie got a 94%. There's just not a lot to get mad about with this film. There's not a lot to be like, ugh, M3GAN, really? No, it's better than you'd expect. It's funner than you'd expect, while also not being all that crazy good. It's like that almost perfectly going for the middle. That's what it does. It goes for the middle, and it delivers right there in the middle. Rachel's reviews. I went fresh on M3GAN. Exactly. Rachel is not, animation and Hallmarkies are kind of the, two things kind of Rachel's known for. Not known for, like, let me go out to the horror film. But they made a horror film that she watched and went, that's good. I'll go positive on it. They made a movie with that kind of broad appeal. That's why it's got a 94%. Because the horror fans are like, yeah, that's a good, it's like Child's Play 2019, but it's good. But Rachel also went, it's good. And watching it, I don't like. My wife hates the trailers, but she just assumes the worst because it's a horror movie. I don't think she'd hate the movie. I think she'd like it. So, but Rachel going positive on it, exactly.